Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah. So today I want to speak about one of my favorite names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is repeated in the Quran more than almost any other name. That this name is the second most repeated name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran after the name Allah. And it is found right at the very beginning of the Quran when we begin with Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. This name is mentioned twice in the first three verses of the Quran, and it is repeated many times over. And it's even the name of one of the most beautiful surahs of the Quran, Surah Ar-Rahman. And it's the opening verse of that surah, Ar-Rahman. So the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which I want us to reflect upon today, is Ar-Rahman, the one whose mercy encompasses everything, the one who is supremely merciful. Now, there are two names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala which are directly related to His mercy, Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim. And the scholars of tafsir have explained that Ar-Rahman refers to Allah's mercy towards all of the creation, while Ar-Rahim refers to His specific and special mercy for the believers. Now, perhaps in a future episode we'll discuss Ar-Rahim, but I want to reflect on Ar-Rahman, because this is an area which many young people struggle with understanding, right? How is Allah Ar-Rahman? How is He merciful to all of His creation? And the reason why some young people struggle with this is because they find it hard to reconcile between the idea of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being Ar-Rahman and the existence of hellfire, right? So these two things, in the minds of some youngsters who have been affected by the ideas of atheism and liberal thinking, it seems like a contradiction. Why would Ar-Rahman create a hellfire and put people into it forever? Well, the first point I want to mention about that is that there is historically a difference of opinion on whether people will be in hellfire forever or not. The majority of Muslims have said that they will be, but there have been throughout history a minority of ulama who have held other opinions based on the concept of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being Ar-Rahman. Right, based on the idea that Allah is Ar-Rahman, there have been ulama like Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyah rahimahullah and a few others who argued that because Allah is Ar-Rahman, then because of this, people will eventually be removed from hellfire. Right, and there are many verses of the Quran and hadiths that they use to support this opinion. So it is possible to still be a Muslim and to follow such an understanding, even though it may not be the majority understanding. Nonetheless, even if you go with the majority understanding that hellfire is eternal, how do we understand this and reconcile it with the concept of Allah being Ar-Rahman? Well, first let's take a look at what does Ar-Rahman actually mean. Ar-Rahman means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy, His kindness, His loving nature encompasses all of creation. How do we understand this? We understand this firstly that every single thing we have in our lives comes from Ar-Rahman. Whether someone is a Muslim or not, a believer or not, whatever they have in their lives in terms of goodness, it is from Allah. There are so many people in the world today who do not believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who violate His laws every single day, but Allah has blessed them with a lot of wealth, or with a lot of happiness, or with a lot of good things in this world. That is part of His rahmah, right? That is part of His mercy. And one of the most beautiful concepts related to Allah's mercy is the fact that whatever we see in this world is equal to less than 1% of Allah's mercy. Because in the hadith it is mentioned that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala divided His rahmah into 100 portions, and He sent only one portion to this earth. And everything you see in this earth in terms of rahmah, mercy, all of it equals to just one out of 100 portions of Allah's mercy, just 1% of Allah's mercy. The other 99 portions, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has saved it for the day of judgment. 99 portions of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's rahmah and mercy that He has made obligatory upon Himself, right? That He has made part of who He is, has been saved for the day of judgment. And so my advice to every single believer who finds it difficult to understand the concept of hellfire, the concept of disbelievers going to hellfire eternally, or believers going to hellfire to be punished for their sins, I want us to think about it from the following perspective. And that perspective is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is most merciful, He is most just, He is most wise. We trust His mercy. We trust His wisdom. We trust His justice. We trust that Allah will do what is best on the Day of Judgment because He knows better than us. He is more merciful than us. He is more wise than us. He is more just than us. And whatever decision He makes for every individual, then that is what is best for them. That is what is most just. That is what is most merciful, even if we as the creation don't understand it. So I want us to always approach these issues of the afterlife from this perspective, the perspective that Allah knows what we do not know. And when it comes to individuals who have passed away, it is not permissible for us to say about any individual who has passed away that they are in paradise or in hell, unless their names are specifically mentioned in the Quran or in the Hadith. For everybody else, we simply trust Allah's justice and mercy. Right? It doesn't matter whether the person passed away as a believer or disbeliever, we still are not allowed to pass judgment on where they will end up. Because we do not know. We do not know the akhirah. We do not know what Allah will decide. We do not know if they have any excuse in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There may be many people out there who in our eyes they look like the most righteous of believers. But in their hearts they may be munafiqs, they may be hypocrites. And so we may think they are going to paradise, but they may not be. And there may be people out there who we may think of as the worst of disbelievers, but they may have never received the message of Islam properly, and so Allah may excuse them for it. So it is not our job to say about any individual that he is in the hellfire or he is in paradise. Rather, we say theoretically the disbelievers go to hellfire and the believers go to paradise. But for the individuals, we do not pass judgment. We simply trust Allah as Ar-Rahman. We trust that Ar-Rahman, who has saved 99 portions of His Rahmah for the Day of Judgment, and who has promised on the Day of Judgment, that He's going to show more mercy than has ever been shown in the history of this universe. Who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is stated in the hadith that after all of the prophets and the righteous have interceded, Allah has removed people from hellfire because of the intercession. Allah will then scoop out a handful of people, and Allah's hands are infinite, right? Allah will scoop out a handful of people from Jahannam and put them into Jannah. Right? What does that mean? We don't know. We don't know because we can't imagine the proportion of that, how many people that could be. Right? And so we just simply trust Allah's mercy. Allah has created hellfire, and I could say at least two reasons why I can think of why hellfire exists. Number one, as a deterrent for us from sin. Because there are many people out there who, if it wasn't for the existence of hellfire, they would fall into sin, because that's their nature. Fear is the one thing that motivates them not to sin. And so understanding the nature of those people, Allah has created hellfire. Just like the punishments for the Sharia laws, a lot of them are simply deterrents from sin, which are rarely ever enacted. It's the same with the hellfire. A second reason why hellfire exists is that it means of purification for us. That those of us who enter the akhirah with more evil within us than good, then that needs to be purified from us before we enter into paradise. And so there are wisdoms behind the existence of hellfire. There is Allah's mercy involved. There is Allah's justice involved. At the end of the day, the believer trusts that Ar-Rahman will be most merciful, and the most just will be most just to His creation, and the most wise will deal out the final destinations of His creation with wisdom. And because we trust in that, we are not worried about this. Rather, our focus is simply on pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, loving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and becoming from those whom He loves, because that's what really matters. More than the issue of paradise or hell, it's the matter of developing a close relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and becoming one of those whom He loves. When you do that, then this question of why does hellfire exist falls away completely, because you trust Allah's mercy, you love Allah, and you're working towards the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the correct understanding of this religion. May He make us from those who are people of mercy. May He make us from those who are recipients of His mercy, and may He give us a deep understanding of this religion. Wa akhiru dawana and alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.